everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of the podcast where we are unpacking illiteracy in South Africa and why libraries are so important. Today, we are going just beyond the libraries, the building, but why a library bylaw is essential and the difference it can make. We are joined by Sihle Nzuza. Hi, Sihle.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. I was just about to say. So we want to unpack the library bylaw, right, that we're advocating for. Can you just give us some more context on that? What, inspired for us to start this library bylaw or advocate for it rather?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. We had a project for the ASTRI cohort for 2026, and the question was, what issue are we trying to solve, or would we solve it within the city of Johannesburg? And looking at the research, we found that literacy is among the biggest problems. And we thought it to be a bylaw because that institutionalizes the processes of, eradicating the issue. And it's a more future-looking solution than to just maybe run programs ourselves.
That is very, very powerful. And I think it's such a good thing that you're trying to institutionalize it beyond just it, being a thing that we talk about and then we don't take action. So I think putting like an institutionalization behind it or like bringing people in, it really makes such a difference. So we'd like to understand, what exactly is this bylaw entailing? For people who may not even understand what a bylaw is, are you able to break it down for us and then tell us what this library bylaw is entailing specifically?
Yeah, so a bylaw is essentially local laws. So laws within municipalities. And these laws, of course, are weighed against existing laws. So national laws and the Constitution itself. So what this bylaw aims to do is basically ensure that libraries within the city of Johannesburg have programs that cater to, child literacy programs. And we want to support existing programs. So we are not coming in and saying, okay, this is the law, this is how libraries should do it. We are saying this is a law to compel that every library has a program that's specifically catered to literacy. So, and in doing this, we are giving the power back to the librarians. Because I think my colleague Zianda said, or mentioned that we went around the city and we found that librarians want to run these programs. It's just the problem is they're not capacitated. They're not given, all the support required for this program to last longer or for like a longer period.
I get you. Yeah. That is very powerful, yes. And with these programs that will be implemented, I think it's such a great thing and it's very much needed. So what would these kind of programs look like? What do they entail? Is it like children's section? I know Ms. Zianda did speak about puppet shows in libraries, that kind of thing. So does this bylaw also include having those kind of programs? Can you please just take us through that?
Yes. I want to reiterate that we want to give the power back to the librarians. And we've seen in the different libraries where these projects are done or programs are done, they're done in a very different manner. She mentioned the puppet show, which is a great example of what these programs we hope would look like. But this also can be like, a simple thing, like inviting kids to, play soccer by the library, but also like having an element of, okay, we're going to read. We want to create a community, for it to be a communal thing. So children are going there to see their friends or to, play with their friends, to go to this community rather than seeing it as, these are structured programs and they must happen like this. I think a puppet show is a nice idea. Maybe we see, I don't know, dance competition or whatever. But yeah.
I think that is very interesting. Like, it's really great that you can bring such fun elements and
Yeah.
include it with reading because that's what attracts, children and stuff. So I think it's very powerful. And also the whole point that you're making that it has to be communal. And I think like one of the principles of community, is ownership. And I really love that we're bringing get back the ownership to the librarians. I mean, they best know how to cater to libraries and especially for children. So that's very great. And I'd like to ask, will this bylaw be applying to specific libraries only? Will it also cater to under-resourced communities? Could you please just take us a bit through that?
Yeah. I think, the biggest thing is access, right?
Yeah.
So we found that the more you go into the sort of townships is where the libraries go worse and worse. And this is, it's not just a random fact. It's because of our history and how access was a big thing. So we are trying our best to solve that issue. We are not going to cater to specific libraries. We want it to be an all-encompassing project for all libraries within the city of Johannesburg to have programs and to be supported to run these programs. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And with the support that you're talking about, does this project or library bylaw also require funding from the government or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, that was our biggest, kind of jump scare, is that if we say that libraries should do this, should do that, that it would increase the grants that they receive from the government. And so the way we worked around that is to say that we are not asking that the government spend more money in like creating new structures within libraries. We are only saying change what libraries are supposed to do. And that is simple, is to give the power back to the librarians to decide what kind of programs should run. The government in this capacity is still supporting whatever it was going to mandated to support within libraries. This is just an added element to say that libraries, the design of libraries should be inclusive for the young people, the future generations of the country. And that should be the mandate, essentially, is what I can say.
I understand. Yeah, because libraries are very essential, like we've unpacked, and they go hand in hand with the education system. So a lot of people may ask, why focus on the libraries and not on fixing the education system? Like, I'm sure you've gotten questions like that when
Yeah.
going around with the petition. So what is your take on that?
Look, focusing on education, Department of Education would be such a lengthy task. And our goal is that reading shouldn't be relegated to schools. Reading should become a lifestyle in our country. Children should be reading outside school with their parents. It should, we're trying to create that culture and bring it back. So I'll just say to them simply that we are trying to create a bylaw that speaks to lifestyle rather than a specific section or sector.
I really like that line that reading should be a lifestyle. Like, that is so iconic and such a bar. And I think it's very important because once we make it a lifestyle, it becomes a habit and it becomes, something that doesn't even have to be an issue eventually because everyone is able to do that. So why should people sign the petition for this bylaw? Like, why is it so important? Why would you encourage people to play a role in this?
I think people should sign this petition because it speaks directly to them. The future of our country really depends on, literacy rates, that logical understanding, that critical thinking that comes from reading. We need that in our leaders. We need more of it. We need more educated leaders in our country who will make the right decisions for us. So that's what I can say. It speaks to you directly.
That's very powerful. And I think it makes the bylaw feel a bit more practical and relevant. So as we are closing on this, I would like to just ask, a lot of people may even have the question, so will this model, this library bylaw, go beyond Johannesburg, or will it only be restricted to Johannesburg? Could you please just tell us before we close off?
Yeah, I mean, as many laws work, it starts with one and it becomes a ripple effect. So that's what we are really hoping for, is that our work here builds a sort of like domino effect, if you like, that will happen in other cities and eventually in our country.
That is very wonderful to hear. And I think it's very important that we do expand it to other cities once it's been implemented. Because, like we've mentioned, libraries are more than just buildings. They're a safe space for children to learn. And as the viewers, as the people, we need to take action to tackle this illiteracy crisis that we have in South Africa. So please do sign the petition. The link is in the description below, and also the link is in our bio on all our social media platforms. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much, Sihle, for joining us. Do you have any final words to say to the people?
Yeah, go sign the petition.
Go sign the petition. Thanks, guys. See you on the next one.